Hello and good afternoon, Wisconsin. Hope everyone is having a great fall, and we're just going to wait another minute or so for more people to join and hope you're all able to use your Uber Eats and enjoy lunch while watching this. And if you didn't get to use the code, I believe it should be still good to use either Thursday or Friday afternoon. And let me know in the Q&A box what you're ordering for lunch. So we're based in San Jose and or California, so we're on the West Coast. So right now it's 10 o'clock, so we won't be eating in 2 hours. We're gonna have, I believe, La Boulangerie, kind of like a Panera, if you guys have that at your malls. Let's see, someone's having Subway and someone's having pizza. I'm seeing Panera Bowl. And actually, after this, we are going to have like a birthday celebration for people that are born in the month of October. So there's going to be like a Reese's peanut butter pie. And I think we're going to have, I think maybe we typically have like fruit. And then usually there's this like strawberry shortcake that we get in Whole Foods. And I see someone's getting a Cobb salad, burgers. Ooh, I see someone is getting wings. That's awesome. And we have Buffalo Wild Wings here too and Wingstop. I think I like Buffalo Wild Wings more because of the ambiance. But I mean, I try not to like be too biased. I think Wingstop's still great too. But my cousins have like a debate whether they like lemon pepper or garlic parmesan. That one, I think I like garlic parmesan more. Oh, let's see. Soup and salad. All right. Okay, so before we get started, just wanted to go over some housekeeping. So at the end of this presentation, I'll be sending a follow-up email in the next few hours to provide the HRCI and Shroom credits. And if you do have any questions today, feel free to put them in the Q&A box as they will be saved. I will try to answer them as they come up, but if I don't, I'll try and answer them as soon as I can in the follow-up email. And then if you want any further information, feel free to respond to that follow-up email that I'll be sending with the credits. And then we'll also send the presentation slides as well in a PDF. And then if you do want further information, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then we also have a newsletter, and I'll have those links at the end of the slides. Today, we're going to talk about Wisconsin nonprofits and unemployment. Before I get started, just wanted to do a quick intro of myself. My name is Janessa Ponko, and I'm the Senior Member Development Representative here at 501c Services. I've been in sales since 2016. I was selling vendor booth space at a wedding fair for over 3 years. And then I started setting up meetings for tech startups during the pandemic. And currently, I've been scheduling appointments with nonprofits here at 501 since July 2023. And then there's a picture of people bowling that includes me and some of our sales and marketing team members. Heidi is my manager. She's in the middle, and you may work with her in the future. And then we have Evan on the right, who does like our marketing and web development. I'm really excited to be part of a team that's been helping nonprofits save time and money that can go towards furthering their mission. And we're based in San Jose, California, so we are in the heart of the Silicon Valley. We're dedicated to helping nonprofits reduce unemployment expenses across the nation. And thank you again for joining to learn more about cost-effective strategies and managing unemployment in your state. So we're going to provide a broad overview on how unemployment insurance works, alternatives for 501c3 nonprofits when it comes to unemployment, how reimbursing works. We're going to use some real life examples of nonprofits we've helped with our cost analysis, and then finally provide more information on our company 501c services and how many of our Wisconsin nonprofits have benefited from our services. First of all, just wanted to start off with a little history to put unemployment in perspective. Unemployment started in the US in the 1930s following the Great Depression and New Deal, where the federal government wanted to create a safety net for workers who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. Between 1930 to 1972, 501(c)(3) organizations didn't pay into unemployment benefits. Although this saved nonprofits money from paying these taxes, employees that were laid off couldn't reap the benefits of that safety net that for-profit companies had provided. Now, fast forward to 1972, the federal government changed the law under the Social Security Act to where nonprofits must pay into unemployment, but they were given different options in how they pay so that tax wouldn't be seen as a unnecessary expense for them. Unemployment is overseen on the federal level. However, each state gets to manage their own programs however they choose. So throughout the US, you'll see different taxable wage bases, tax rates, and benefit amounts, but we're just going to cover information in Wisconsin today. When it comes to management, unemployment rates can be adjusted annually and are adjusted by experience. So, for example, if you have a year or two of bad claims, your tax rate will increase. And most states, including Wisconsin, run as a risk pool. So the money that you're putting in does not necessarily equate to what you'll get out of the pool. And we are seeing a lot of nonprofits putting more money into the pool than what they're getting in return. And then these total tax liabilities by employer, they're often greater than the claims paid with reserves used in times of the recession. In order to calculate your tax liability, you multiply your taxable wage base by the employer tax rate. And now we have a quiz. So take a guess on what a single claim can cost in the state of Wisconsin. And feel free to put some guesses in the Q&A box. So I have 5,000, 7,200, 6,435, 8,100, 17,000, 12,350. So just as a hint, the total cost is looking at the weekly benefit maximum times the maximum number of weeks someone can claim. And just as a little hint, the maximum number of weeks someone can claim in Wisconsin is 26. So we got 4,200, 9,000, 10,100. All right, and I see another guess that is 13,400. So the maximum amount a single person, oh, we have 9,600. And another one I see 7,300. And one more guess, I see 6,700. All right, so I'll tell you the answer. This last person was really close. So, oh, I see 12,000 and 10,400. So, the maximum amount a single person can claim in unemployment in Wisconsin can cost 9,620. So there was a guess that was very close. And then just as a caveat, this is what an employer is charged for employee benefits by the state. So those extended benefits you saw during the recession and extra COVID payments, they were covered by the federal government. And so the maximum weekly benefit in Wisconsin is $370. When we multiply that number by 26 is how we get that $9,620 for the maximum of what a single person can claim in unemployment. The federal government sets the wage base at a minimum of $7,000 and there's no maximum. Currently, Wisconsin's taxable wage base is set at $14,000. So that means for the first $14,000 an employee earns, your organization gets taxed on that. And then the minimum tax rate is 0%, the maximum tax rate's at 12%, and those are both set by the state. And the last thing I want to note is the improper payment rate, which is 24.54%. This equates to around $247 million in overpayments to former employees who are collecting unemployment from the past 3 years. This is information we get from the Department of Labor. You can see Wisconsin is one of the many states that's greater than 13%. This is important to note as we really encourage you to look over your claims and make sure you're not overpaying for anybody's claims. Here at 501, we help organizations monitor this. And if you are managing on your own, you want to make sure that you're properly charged for a former employee's weekly benefit amount. So there are three different alternatives for unemployment. One is that you pay that state tax that we mentioned earlier. So that's the tax rate times the taxable wage base. And then another option is that you can self-insure, reimburse for your unemployment, where you just pay dollar per dollar for your unemployment claims. So you're only paying for the benefits issued. And then the last option is kind of a hybrid of both, where you would buy insurance. It offers that savings of reimbursing while also providing that safety net. And just let you know, reimbursing is not for everyone. The qualifications that we look for considering reimbursing is that an organization must be a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. It excludes religious institutions. We recommend a gross annual payroll of $1 million or more because typically if your payroll is under a million, especially significantly less than that number, what you're paying into the state tax pool is probably pretty minimal and you might not see much significant savings by opting out. However, there may be some scenarios where you could see potential savings. So we're happy to look at your numbers, even if you're just slightly less than a million. And then we also look at a positive audit of the past 3 years. So that means in order for reimbursing to benefit you, we try to evaluate if what you paid each year in taxes exceeds what you're paying in actual claims. And then we want to make sure that there isn't any disruption in funding for the next 24 months. So we do recommend to stay with the state tax system if you might have anything from layoffs, a reduction in workforce, losing funds, or closing programs where your tax rates may go up with experience. And then you'll probably want to wait once those claims decrease. And what it means to reimburse is that your tax rate turns to 0%, and then the state will bill you only for the unemployment claims you receive over the quarter. It's a great way for nonprofits to save money and be a better steward of donor dollars. The process is seamless for separate employees. No matter how your employees separated, they'll still go through the same process of your unemployment department, where the state will determine their benefit amount based on their base period pay. And then the only change is how that quarterly bill is calculated. Instead of paying that state unemployment insurance tax, you're now only responsible for charges your organization incurs. And I see a question here. How can you find out what your current experience rating is, what the ideal rating is? Let me see. I'm not sure for like ideal rating. So if you're talking about like the tax rate, it really is just based on your own organization's individual experience. And I'm not sure if there's like an ideal like type of number, but I can get back to you in the follow-up email and talk to my manager about that. So I'll send that in a separate email, any of your questions that you put in the Q&A. No problem. All right, and let's see. So we work with over 1,500 nonprofits across the nation. We have several in Wisconsin. So you're probably wondering, what is the motivation to reimburse? So in most cases, reimbursing saves money. On average, you can get savings between 20 to 40% compared to paying into the state tax system. This is the main driver for most organizations to switch. Reimbursing also eliminates any concern of changes in that state tax, such as any tax hikes that you can't control. And then you become a better steward of donor dollars as you just pay for your actual claims and into the state pool. And because unemployment is managed by the federal government big picture, reimbursing is allowed in all 50 states best with employers with over $1 million in payroll and at least 15 or more full-time employees. So if you're on the borderline, we can still certainly talk, as there may be circumstances where you can still consider reimbursing for your organization. And then if you're smaller and reimbursing already, we can still consider you for our services and how we can help you reduce your risk. And I do want to talk about how SUI is calculated, the state unemployment insurance tax. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll show some real cost assessments that we've done in the past. So the taxable wage base is customized by each state. So for Wisconsin, it's currently set at $14,000. All employers in the state pay the same taxable wage base. It represents the first $14,000 of an employee's earnings that gets taxed. There is no maximum and can increase or decrease by any amount each year. The tax rate is set annually by the state and is based on your organization's experience, as the last question kind of mentioned about the tax rate. And to calculate that contribution amount, you do multiply the taxable wage base by the tax rate. So for Wisconsin, it's at $14,000 times a range of 0 to 12%. So this amount means that if each employee makes over $14,000, a company is paying either in between 0 to $1,680 per employee in unemployment. And then what we do to get started on an assessment is that we look at your tax rate notice that includes information such as your taxable payroll, and it also includes your tax rate. And so if you look at the document, this organization is paying over $2 million in taxable payroll and has a 1.25% tax rate. So this tax rate, however, does not include the recent claims history needed for our analysis, but our team does have a connection with the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, so they can provide the claims history with the account number that's on your tax rate notice. And also, there's no need to understand everything on this document. We can help you look at your numbers for you and see where your organization may potentially save. And then for our next two examples, they will include organizations that have large overpayments who eventually became members of our trust. So this is the first example of a human services nonprofit we worked with. The taxable payroll is just shy of $1 million, tax rate 4.7%, estimated claims only about $200 per year. And in this case, we look at a 3-year average of claims. So they were overpaying $45,000 a year. And think of what you can do with an additional $45,000. And then our second example, the taxable payroll is around $700,000, tax rate 3.38%, estimated annual claims is around $5,900, and then estimated unemployment taxes were around $24,000. So they were overpaying $18,000. So a little bit more about 501c services. We were founded in 1982 by a former UCP executive, John Huckstad. He was looking for ways to save money for his organization, and at the time, his peers weren't really reimbursing it. So he came up with the idea of starting a trust. So with other 25 nonprofit leaders in San Jose, he created the first kind of grantor trust called the Joint Unemployment Compensation Trust that eventually became our company 501c Services, and then our trust is called 501c Agencies Trust. And we have now grown to helping over 3,000 nonprofits in various ways. And then in 2016, John sold the company back to his employees. So we are now 100% employee owned. From our receptionist to the CEO, every member is committed to our company and serving our members. And then our services are valued tremendously, with our company having over a 98% retention rate. And then these are a couple of testimonials our members have shared. So you can go back to these later, as I'll send the slides after the presentation. And then here we have a clip from our 40th anniversary celebration a few years ago that includes testimonials from Anika Lunn and Mike Hoffman from Start Early, Mary Sue and Michael Eady from CISC, Sandy Leota and Chris Marshall at Baltimore Center Stage, and then Phyllis Austin and Jason Penniger from Boys and Girls Club of America.
What makes me passionate about working for a non-for-profit organization is because I knew I always wanted to work for a mission-driven organization.
Our mission is to work with immigrant communities so that they can achieve the American dream.
501 helps focus our service to the community by giving us more time.
501 helps us focus on serving our communities by providing services directly to our HR professionals.
The biggest benefit for working with 501 is really the transparency and ability to forecast our costs when it comes to our unemployment benefits.
They also keep our cash flow steady through claims that are sound and take a lot of the admin burden off of us so we can just stay on autopilot.
We're very grateful for all the support you provided over the last 4 decades, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Congratulations, 501, on your 40th anniversary. It's been a pleasure serving with you for the last 24 years.
And like I said earlier, we work with around several Wisconsin nonprofits. Here is a quick snapshot of a few nonprofits here in the state and across the nation that are our members. And as you heard them say in the previous clip, we help nonprofits save time and money by relieving them from the administrative burdens that can come with unemployment. The first way we help nonprofits is through claims management. Our team will help you manage, audit, and protest claims. So if you do ever have to protest a claim, we offer unlimited access to hearing reps. Our team has an 80.6% protest win rate in the state of Wisconsin. Once you become part of our trust, you'll get a dedicated claims manager, and then all your claims will go through this online portal where you'll get notified that a claim has been filed. So you'll get that like an email notification. And then so you'll go into the portal to respond to the questions. And if you ever have to go on PTO and you forget to delegate these kinds of tasks, it shouldn't be a problem. For when a claim doesn't get responded to in several days, it gets escalated and handled. A big part of our claims management is that our team doesn't want to see your organization overpay or get hit by those Wisconsin error rates. So we'll help you audit those charges for you or prevent you from paying a claim when someone gets terminated. And then we want to make sure that you're managing these claims and have enough support to do so. And then we have our HR services. It includes 3 components. We offer access to unlimited HR consultations. We're a small dedicated team that can answer any of your HR related questions. So if you ever have an ongoing issue, you can develop rapport typically with the same person, and they'll support you and manage any of your HR questions. Our HR services have trainings throughout the year that are HRCI and SHROOM certified. And then we also have an online knowledge library with our HR services. And then with the $370 maximum weekly benefits here in the state of Wisconsin, our goal is to help you keep that cost as low as possible. So if you ever lay someone off, we have our reemployment tool. It offers packages that can range from online coaching, interview techniques, and resume writing. On average, individuals who use this tool were able to get a new job 4 weeks faster than those who didn't. So it's never fun to let someone go, but at least you can give them that safety net and resources to help them secure a new job faster. So in return, it can help your organization pay more money. And the protection is the insurance part of our program. Most of our members take our stop loss protection that can help them during catastrophic claims. And then for managing the highs and lows of employment, we have the trust account. So this is a reserve account owned by your organization where you would save for those possible unexpected number of claims. And so I hope this sparked your interest, and maybe some of you may want to manage your unemployment through us as a reimbursing employer. So if you want to look into potential savings, what we would need from you is your 941s or estimated payroll from 2024 to 2025 as a reimburser. And if you're currently paying into the state tax, we would need a copy of your recent 2025 tax rate notice. So I don't see any other questions. I will stay on for another minute or so. If you are typing a question, it will be saved. And if I am logging out as you're typing it, feel free to also respond in the follow-up email we'll be sending in a few hours. So the follow-up email will include a PDF of this presentation and also the HRCI and Shroom credits. And then we will send a recording of the presentation. It'll be sent through Zoom in about an hour or so. And then you can also check out our YouTube website if you want to look at other videos as well. And thank you so much for everyone joining today. Hope everyone has a great rest of their lunch break. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone in the state of Wisconsin. If anyone has any further information, this is my contact information. And check out our YouTube channel. It's 501c Services. Once you type that in, you'll see like a couple of videos that we just posted. And then I believe once this becomes a PDF, you can still open the hyperlink, and for this newsletter sign up, it should take you to our website where you can sign up for more information. All right, thank you so much, everyone, and hope everyone has a great day in the state of Wisconsin.